Good morning, everyone. Coach Metcalf, good to see you back there. It's always a pleasure. I'll see you this afternoon. For all of you who can make it, we'll have the ribbon cutting for the track this afternoon at 4:30, Greg? 5. All right, I'm a little early, so we'll see you then. First of all, I want to thank you all for coming and let you know from our perspective that under our administration, this is probably the fastest and most intense national search that we've ever done. I want to, before I really get started, really thank Shondell Reed, my colleague, for conducting the search and doing a tremendous job in being thorough and what he does, obviously with writing Coach McGuff's contract. that was thanks to Shondell, but really doing a tremendous search and doing it the right way and making sure that I came back from Los Angeles in less than 24 hours. Thanks, Shondell. But as I mentioned, this was not only a fast and intense search, but it was a national search. And we quickly realized that we had two incredibly strong candidates in Mike Neighbors and Kevin Morrison in our midst. And we had a program that was really, for the past 2 seasons, had taken significant steps to return to the national stage and to compete in the right way and in that right trajectory that we like. We wanted that momentum to continue, and Coach Nabes, as the kids call him, was the leader that we know we wanted to choose to continue in that trajectory. Mike is nationally recognized for his depth of knowledge of the game, but also for his generosity and how he shares this knowledge, which is an incredible thing for an academic and a teaching institution. He wants the world, and I literally mean the world, to know what there is and what good there is in the game of basketball and in the game of life. And he is an extremely talented guy when it comes to teaching, sharing knowledge, and doing all those things. That's obvious with his background as an educator and for what he's done not only in the high school level but extensively at the collegiate level, and for us it was the obvious choice. And as you could tell by the reactions from our student athletes and our current signees, saying that they were ecstatic was an understatement. With that, I want to welcome Coach Neighbors to his new role and extend a welcome to his mom, Anna, and his stepfather, Brownie, and obviously his children, Abby and Alec, for making this long trip up here from Arkansas. I feel your pain as a Louisianian. I know those long flights aren't any fun. And also his girlfriend, Amy. It's wonderful to have you guys in the Husky family. And with that, I'm going to let Coach Neighbors say what he has to say. Welcome, Coach.
Thanks, Scott. Thank you. Scott, thanks for that. Every single one of y'all in this room, thank you too. Y'all have impacted me in a way that only you know, and I'll get to you individually. If we started right now, we probably wouldn't get done in time to get these guys back on the airplane home. So thanks for attending. Really, really, you have touched me in a way that I wouldn't be sitting right up here today with Scott if you weren't here today and you haven't done something in the past to make this such a great place. Almost 2 years ago to this very day, looking at my watch, that I was unpacking boxes right down that hallway, right around the corner in my new office after getting here from Xavier. I had a bunch of boxes. If y'all been in my office, y'all know I have a bunch of stuff. So I was unpacking boxes, and somebody wandered in down the hallway and may or may not have been introduced to me, but if they were, I didn't catch it. I was focused on my movies or something else. And we got to chatting and we got to talking, and for about an hour, it was just nothing about it was basketball and the move, and I'm sure I must not have gotten the name because I kept thinking, who am I talking to here? And after about an hour, she walked out and she left, and I went over to the next hall and asked Coach McGuff who it was, and he said, oh, that's our SWA, Stephanie Rimp. And we had talked for a good part of an hour, and he said, yeah, she's the administrator in charge of our sport. And at that very second, the first day I was on this campus, I realized how important our program was to our administration. In that 1 hour that I talked to Stephanie, that was more combined time than I'd ever had with an SWA. At all my other universities combined, almost doubled, Steph. So thank you for making my initial day here something I'll never forget, and this week as well. You were awesome for me. Those encounters have continued since that very first day. It wasn't just that encounter. I said at the Hall of Fame banquet downstairs, y'all have all been to those, you know how fancy it is, and we ate El Gaucho, and it was big time. And I got to see Odie Vincent inducted into our Hall of Fame, and he's an administrator here. And to see what an awesome guy this is, he's a golf coach, and he's now what a stud, you know. This is somebody that's going to be somebody I could work for. Then you look around these facilities, you look at this place, and it's pretty intimidating from down this end. I've only seen it from when I walk to the bathroom, so it's intimidating from this end. And then I hear that Jen Cohen is the person in our athletic department that's done all this renovations in this facility and was responsible for a lot of our major fundraisers that y'all see around. And then last year we lost Steph, and she went into a different role, and we brought a new guy in. And you know, the typical meetings and greetings that we go through when new people come onto our staff. We announce them at our birthday parties and the various things. But this guy came into my office, and we sat down and we started talking, and it wasn't about basketball. It was about my book collection. Y'all all know I'm become an avid reader. I didn't used to read very well, did I, Mom? That education thing, my family is full of educators, and I was not the smartest of all of our grandkids. Those guys are all doctors and lawyers and very smart people. But I wasn't a great reader, but I've learned to love it. And Shondell Reed and I started having some great conversations that sometimes had to do with basketball and sometimes didn't. We started sharing books. In fact, he's got a couple of them checked out right now. I kind of run a little library over there. And I think it's poignant that the one book that he still has is called Speed of Trust. First of all, you hadn't read chapter 13 because it talks about borrowing things and giving them back. So if you'll check that one out at some point or reread it or something, I'm not sure, but you can have it. I'll let you have that one. I'll go get another one. He developed a level of trust. And this last week, as fast as things did happen, the process was fast, but this has been a 2-year thing. This has not just been the last week for me, you know, and to hear that same type of commitment from our administration is there it's priceless. So a couple of other people in our administrative wing, Pete Dukes. I saw Pete walking up. I think there you are, Pete. I first saw this guy when I started watching last year's game film when we got here. And there was this crazy man on the front row that just kept getting into the picture and yelling at the refs, and I couldn't figure out who he was. And I made a note to, you know, make sure I met this guy. I found out he's our faculty rep, but he wasn't at the time. But he is one of our biggest fans, and we couldn't do it without you, Pete. Thanks for all your guidance that you give me. Kim Duran, the thing that we do a lot in the recruiting world that we talked about is we try to sell the university to recruits. And you'll hear us talking a lot of times about we have the 5th best this and the 6th best this and the 27th best this. And we're trying to be a top 25 program. The one thing I can tell you that when we go sit down in those homes with the parents and with the kids and anybody that's attached with them is we can say we have the absolute very best, #1, academic support service for our student athletes in the entire country. There is no question about that. And Kim and her staff give us that tool to sell the university. And we can't do it without you, Kim. So we got new things. They said family of educators. We're not kidding. Everybody's an educator. So my mom retired from the telephone company and stayed retired for about 6 weeks, and then she went back to work as a secretary for my uncle, and she's been there ever since. So everybody's in education. I haven't talked to him the last couple days, but President Young and I had a very brief meeting one time in the parking lot, and it made an impact on me as well. He'll remember it, and we can talk about it later. Coach Romar, our men's coach, was instrumental in walking me through the whirlwind that was last week, from the time that Kevin let us know that he was going to Ohio State to this week. It's been about a week now. So Coach Romar's guidance and advice and friendship was, y'all are going to have to help me explain one of them, though, because that whole collage thing, Coach, I kind of got, but I'm still not quite there. So we need to have a follow-up to that, but I've been thinking about it an awful lot. Coach Jim McLaughlin, our volleyball coach, golf partner, a lot of things to me. He was very helpful in that. All the coaches here. I could keep going and going and going. You, my friends, should be a coach. And the reason I say that is because as coaches, we are always trying to inspire people and build trust and show confidence. And you've lit a fire in me. The people that are around our office can tell you that have seen me for the last 2 years, you've lit a fire in me that I haven't felt since I was a high school basketball player, trying to beat other teams. So I'm energized. You really should. I'm telling you, you should be a coach because you got me going like I've never been going before. He uses the term three-legged stool a whole lot. You guys in this room know it. You've heard it, the three-legged stool, about do the right thing. That's going to be a pillar of our program. Our basketball program. It's our athletic departments already, so it's a pillar of our program. Do well in school. It's important to me. It's important to all of us. It'll be important to our team. And be competitive at the highest level. That means you win games. And that's what we're going to try to continue to do, build the momentum. I'm looking at Talia right now. I'm going to put a lot of that on your shoulders for the next 3 years. I know you accept. Thank you for coming after being sick with the flu. Sades, you're going to be our senior on this team. Get ready, okay? Go finish softball, win a national championship, do whatever y'all are going to do. Be a base runner, just don't get hurt, okay? Is Heather here? I don't see Heather there probably, but we'll talk about that later. Everybody in our administration, upper campus, lower campus, has touched me. I'm going to tell you one quick story. This time, where's Tyler and Alex? Did they make it? Boom, right there behind the camera. Last week about this time, I was waiting on some phone calls back and forth between Abby, my daughter, and I was pretty much pacing up and down this hall, and those two guys had taken a break in here from all the 900 million jobs that Larry assigns them to do. They was taking a short break, and I stopped and started talking to them about movies and about music. And in the next 5 or 10 minutes, what I realized was, here's two guys that I've kind of known. We've seen each other. We've spoken. They have done things for me. But we said it had one of the best, I don't know, I'm not going to tell you about how long it was, but it was pretty long. I don't know how long their break was supposed to be, but we'll work that out later, guys. But had a great conversation. Then I walked out to my car, and Larry came by and asked me where Citizen Kane was at on my all-time movie list. I think everybody in this room now knows I have a movie list of my top 1,000 ranked, and he wanted to know where Citizen Kane was. So from the president of our university to everybody on this campus, y'all have really, really touched me, impacted it, and made the decision the easiest thing and the best thing I could have ever done in the world. So thank y'all for everybody for in this room. There's a lot of people not in this room. Every coach, assistant coach, manager, SID, athletic trainer, strength and conditioning coach, academic advisor, facilities maintenance, equipment managers, former players, former coaches. I could keep going on and on and on. Everybody in some shape, form, or fashion has molded my philosophy and what it means to be a basketball coach. If y'all read Greg Bell's great article, Greg, I can't tell you how many people have read that and said it was awesome. So if you can make me look good, that guy's worth a raise probably. But I'll start with Gary Blair because he did give me my first job in this profession, and I have a side bet that you talked to him longer than you talked to me. Pretty close? Actually more, probably. That's what I figured. That was on his dime. Good. Coach Blair gave me the first opportunity to go from being a high school coach to being a college coach, and he knows how much that means to me. Kathy Miller and Susie Gardner were two other coaches that were instrumental in helping me become an assistant coach, a better assistant coach every step along the way. And then I met the McGuffs, Kevin McGuff, Letitia McGuff, Kieran McGuff, Kylan McGuff, Lucas McGuff, Lake McGuff, Lily, Lex. You could keep going on and on with that family. I mean, they just keep having kids. It shows you what Superwoman Tish is and what a great family they are. But he taught me how to be a head coach. He let me touch every phase of this game. And that's where we kind of come back to the 2-year process here. I know Scott was able to walk through practice from time to time and know that Kevin was in Sweden recruiting and that I was running practice. And I know that he was able to, Sand, I was able to fill in with you on the coaches show from time to time and set in on meetings. He really allowed me and taught me how to be a head coach. And there's no doubt in this transition wouldn't be happening. He got me hooked up with Villa 7. It's a Nike event in Villa 7. Those guys last year in a very short period of time gave me everything I needed to make this fast transition, which we've been using the term fast a lot, but it really was 2 years. And you used the word first. It's written right there, momentum. That's what we're going to try to capture upon. Everything that we do, the momentum that we have established over the last 2 years, if you went to the Pac-12 tournament, I see a lot of y'all that were there. Y'all know the Seattle supports women's basketball, okay? It was the best Pac-12 tournament, well, the best Pac-12 tournament ever because we haven't had very many Pac-12s, but even going back to the Pac-10, we have a passionate fan base, and we're going to keep that momentum going with our success on the court, build that up. Scott was able to act fast. I'm really happy to announce today I'm able to act fast too. I'm following your lead in so many things, and I'm really happy to announce that we're going to be able to retain our entire coaching staff. Kevin Morrison, he's in the back. He's standing by Mac and Christy. Hey, guys, a couple of former players. Y'all are has-beens now, but was really excited. Kevin and I have known each other for a lot of years, even before I went to work here, but we developed a great friendship, a great partnership, and we balance each other very, very well. And I'm really happy to announce that I hope for a very, very long time he's going to sit beside me and be my associate head coach and just continue in that momentum. Standing next to Kevin is Adia Barnes. Are you standing up because I'm running late on time or because there's not a seat? Both. I'm running late on time. Okay, good. We had a cue. I'm getting close. Adia's going to stay on, and she's going to take over lots and lots of responsibilities. First and foremost, a lot of our recruiting. Anybody in here knows Adia, knows that the impact she has in this community. I learned it when we walked through the airport the first time on a road trip, and 85 people stopped and talked to her, and me and McGuff and Morrison just breezed right through the place. And everybody was stopping her for autographs and talks, and so I realized at that point in time. Obviously, with me moving over one office, we're going to be hiring a new coach, and I'm proud to announce his name is Fred Castro. He's coming to us from the University of Tulsa. He'll be here on Monday. He wasn't very eager either. So he got his stuff packed. His whole family's going to be here like by Wednesday. So he is also fired up. He's the best person in the country for this job and really, really excited he's going to join us. Megan Osmer, our Director of Basketball Operations, who's probably on some pretty good drugs right now because she had knee surgery yesterday. It shows you how dedicated and how committed she is to this program and these kids and this team. Really happy to announce our current team is intact. Nobody is transferring. Nobody is quitting. Nobody is going to focus on personal things. They're all coming back. Our future team has gotten a lot of press because of the transition. Really happy to announce that all 3 of the incoming recruits are dogs. They are UW Huskies. So how am I doing on time, Adia? Keep going. Okay. The only thing I'm going to say is that I'm going to use this as an example. Chantel and Brianna Ruiz, I could tell you stories about them too, but I'm going to use Kelsey Plum as an example. She got her letter of release a week ago when this transition happened, and I don't blame her one bit. That's what happens in this world today that we've created in recruiting, and it makes a lot of sense for a player who's a McDonald's All-American and a WBCA All-American and was recruited by every school in the country coming out of high school. Every school in the country wanted this kid to be a player for them for the next 4 years. Her recruitment opened up this week, okay? So on Friday, when all of us coaches, the one weekend of the year that we can go out and recruit, Go watch kids. So we're all together. We're traveling together. Coaches are out in the world. She was an available recruit. It was legal for her to be called by every school in the country, and believe me, about half of them did. And that's just the way it goes. When they heard the transition, they called AAU coaches, they called everybody they had called, and Kelsey was an open recruit. And the fact that we were able to keep the band together, y'all hear me saying that a lot, I was able to retain the team. What we did last year as a team, Adia and Kevin and Megan and Carly and Amy standing over there and Cheryl, who sent all the mail that we send, we were able to get the kid to recommit to us, and that is a huge momentum keeper. So if your thought was to keep the momentum going, mission accomplished, sir. Good job. And great job by our team. I'll close really quick with I think everything's going to look very similar. There's going to be some small things. Adia's going to be setting a seat closer to the edge. We're going to come out at 22 minutes instead of 23 minutes from the locker room. We're probably going to wear white socks instead of purple socks. There's going to be massive changes in our program. It's going to be huge. I'm obviously trying to be funny. There is going to be small changes. It'll have our own stamp. We will look a little different in certain areas, but the momentum is going to try to be captured. I saved these guys for last because if I wasn't going to be able to get through this, I at least wanted to be able to wrap the program up. But I want to thank the people that Scott mentioned when they came in. Lots of friends here. I see a lot of people I can't mention, a lot of just because of rules. I'll talk to y'all later too. But coming all the way from Lexington, Kentucky. Three people who I know have helped me grow in a lot of different ways as well. Angela, Holly, and Amy. I can still picture now, y'all were together the time that we all met. All three of y'all have been there for the last 2.5 years for me, and I appreciate y'all getting on a plane and coming out in such short notice. Alec, my little guy right here, he's been there for me for lots of different things. And for him to be here was a very special day. Abby got a lot of press from Scott's article. She knows that she was the one person for the last couple of years that I've bounced everything off of. So thanks. Brownie, you introduced him as my stepdad, and that's true. I'm not going to give you our family tree because it would create a lot of Arkansas jokes. He was my uncle before, okay? Y'all figure that out later. That'll give y'all something to talk about at lunch, okay? That's a true statement. Of all the things I've said up here today, that is the most true thing I've said. He became my stepdad when I was in 6th grade, and it's a special thing to take a stepchild in, and just proud today to call him my dad. So he taught me how to be a grown-up. My mom raised me up until I was a 6th grader by herself, and she's the best coach I've ever known. Thanks. All right, now ask me about Kelsey Plum so I can stop crying. No, just kidding.
Questions?
Mike, when you were recruiting those three, what message did you give them? What was their reaction to you continuing the program?
It was Kevin and Adia and I huddled up really quick, and it became very clear to us, and I don't remember if it was Kevin or Adia that started it, but we all just kind of started talking through it. Nothing had changed except for one thing. The school is still in Seattle, which is, in my opinion, this first time here, it's a pretty good city, isn't it? It's a great city. They've been here for less than 24 hours, and they sensed it. The University of Washington is still in Seattle. Thanks to Kim and all the people that have gone before her, it's a great academic institution. Nobody left our team. At that point in time, the recruits were kind of in limbo, but our message was if you just have to trust the change. And if you do that, nothing else has changed. The school's the same, the team's the same. As long as you trust in all the decisions that you made the first time you went through this process, they should still be true. And so far, we're 3 for 3. Yeah, well, Kevin and I obviously balanced each other very well, okay? I hear there's a pool going around on how many technicals I'm going to get this year. All right, take the low number, I promise you. If y'all saw me excited and fired up, a lot of times I was trying to get in front of him so that he wouldn't get the technical. I'm a little more laid back in some areas. I'm a little higher strung in some areas. I think the one thing that's just different is a lot of things comes down to just our personal, he had a wife and 6 kids. I don't here, okay? I have a lot of time to do a lot of basketball things. So I play golf. I can't imagine Kevin McGuff in a golf cart for 4 hours, and he can't either. We tried to get him out there. Westy, how many times did we try to get McGuff on the golf course? I'm going to be on the golf course. I'm going to be speaking at coaches' clinics. I've got like 5 or 6 already lined up as an assistant coach that I'm going to honor and go speak at. I think it's what we do. Scott talked about sharing, and that's important to me. That might look a little different. The style on the court is going to be very similar because he and I worked hand in hand. We talked for a lot of time about the new offense that we put in last year. He flew me all over the country to talk to people and get ideas. So I'm not sure the product will be a whole lot different as far as style of play. We're going to play fast. We're going to play hard. We're going to be aggressive on defense. And it's going to look very similar. The differences or the similarities, I think you'll see that I care about our kids first and foremost. I will take care of them. I will be there for them. That's not going to change. You know, the other similarity is that we were both driven to win, and I am too.
Scott, since you knew Coach pretty well already, what remaining questions did you have once you wanted him as your top candidate?
I wanted to make sure that he was committed and that, you know, being a head coach was something that he wanted to do here at the University of Washington, that he was all in, that this was what he wanted, and I wanted to be darn sure of that. And also I wanted to make sure, you know, that we did take a very good look across the country and make sure there wasn't someone better. And we did do that. I spoke to a bunch of my colleagues, and Shondell spoke to endless folks, and we came to that conclusion in quite a hurry.
And then, Coach Neighbors, what does it mean to you with your players that you wanted you to be the head coach of this basketball program?
If you saw some of the pictures that they were able to snap, I can't, you know, they say it's worth 1,000 words. It's worth 1,000,000 words there. You know, Mercedes hugged me harder than I've ever been hugged in my life, I think. I had some people jumping in my arms. I had different reactions individually, but they were, the one thing about them was you couldn't fake any of them, I don't think. Hopefully they felt that back from me, but if they can fake it that well, then I got some issues about sometimes how hard we play. So just y'all have shown your hand. I don't think some of the things that they did and said can be faked, and it was genuine, and it showed, I hope, the amount of commitment that we're going to be able to show on the court.
Mike, you mentioned that when you got here 2 years ago, Washington really wasn't on the radar. It wasn't your dreams and your spot. It's involved with that. Why?
My dream job was Greenwood High School growing up. I wanted the Greenwood High. That's where I went to school. I was very impacted by my high school coach, who's a legend. They named the building after him. That was the job I wanted. That was my dream job. And I know what you're speaking about, Greg, the college. Arkansas, where I went to school, it's really a small town, and we had geography classes, but you really don't realize how far Seattle is out here until you look at a map and you plug it into your GPS and you realize it takes you 39 hours, we found yesterday, to drive here. So it wasn't because I didn't know about it. It was just a matter of ignorance. I didn't realize what Seattle was, and it seems so different than when you're here. It became a dream job really almost after Stephanie walked out of my office. And after attending Villa 7 last year and hearing from those people that talked to you about making the transition from assistant coach to head coach, that was really the first time I ever started to do things to be a head coach. I've always been a do your job guy. You know, we talked about it a little bit with the Diet Cokes. I wasn't spending 1 second of my day doing the things sometimes it takes to promote yourself and get your name out there to be in a pool of candidates when they start calling around. You know, we talked just briefly about I don't have an agent. I didn't hire an agent. A lot of people have those. I didn't. I was always a do-your-job guy. But once I got here, it had to do with the team too. I mean, I wouldn't lie to you. If we'd been 1-24 like I was my first year as a high school coach, it probably wouldn't have been a dream job. But this team, I honestly just could not picture myself sitting somewhere next year other than here watching them on TV thinking I could have been there. So it became a dream job from the second I met these kids that were here, the kids we inherited. You know, Mercedes has been here. She's going to be a senior with Cass. Those kids, I couldn't see me sitting anyplace else. So to me, that's when it became a dream.
How fast did things move last week? So after you guys received the notice, did you immediately apply for the job? Does it work that way, or did you go to Mike and say, hey, this is the thing that I'm thinking?
Yeah, when we met with Adia and Kevin and Mike right after Kevin McGuff's announcement, Mike clearly stated his intentions, as did Kevin, and as did Adia, and so we knew from Jump Street that, hey, well, this is where we are, and we're in a good spot here, because they did it with conviction and with passion, that they were, you know, interested in staying here. So it started immediately.
And did you have a chance to bring in other outside candidates, or did you know?
No, we did not bring in any outside candidates. We talked to lots of my counterparts and lots of coaches and lots of people associated and affiliated with women's basketball, but we did not bring in any candidates.
Like, can you give me a calendar? What's your immediate? What are the things that you need to accomplish right now, and what do you have what's on the plate?
Mission number one is obviously already done. That's to get the people around me and our team. Take care of our current players, take care of our future players, take care of the people that we did it all together, our team, get the band together. You know, now it's a busy time of the year because the 14 class is here upon us. We've got summer school starting. The transition will be important. I've got a lot of people to get the vision out to. We are going to have a singular vision, and I've got to share that with a few people. There's nothing that takes any more priority over the next thing. I'll have a couple of stacks on my desk. I'll have an urgent stack and I'll have an important stack, and we'll just get through them as we go. There's been a lot of things that I wasn't prepared for. The number of people that have reached out has been absolutely overwhelming. I'll make it a really short story, but I know I talk a lot too. But last Sunday I had 85 contacts, like emails, texts, outgoing calls, incoming calls, Twitters, all the notifications. That was the Sunday before this happened. I had 85. This Sunday I had 3,381. So if you can imagine that math of the difference in how 1 week went, and I've lost 11 pounds since last Friday, so you got to I needed to. Don't get me wrong, I needed it, but that's just the adrenaline that's pumping through my body. And now that I've got everybody on board and we've got this taken care of, we can get these suits off. These guys all have sweats on. We'll be talking the rest of the afternoon about that next phase.
By the way, Coach, where does Blues Brothers rank in the list?
Where's Sheila Donovan? Sheila, you got the list. I gave it to you. Or did I bring it to you yet? I didn't. Okay. Well, Tyler's probably got it. They probably had to go back to work because I got him in trouble. Yeah, there you're going. It's in there. Yeah, it's pretty high. You know, everybody says when I tell them that it's 400, they're like, that's not high enough. And I always challenge you to write down 400 better ones, but it's on there. It's very quotable, which is one of my criteria. So.
Mike, what have you learned about the Pac-12, about how you're going to
Got a really good look at it for 2 years. You know, I think the Pac-12 this year proved that it can win national championships. Cal represented us great, and Stanford has always continued to do that. We were on the bubble of getting 5 teams in this year. We got 4 in, which is really, really good for where it had been the previous 2 or 3 years. I think the TV network has helped us grow in that area. Being for people from the East Coast, these three from Kentucky can tell you it's awfully late to stay up and try to watch some of our games come across, especially when we tip at 8:30 our time. So I think that Pac-12 network has done a great job of doing that. I think I have a really clear picture of what we need to continue to do and who we need to continue to recruit to be competitive, to get in that top half. And we were this close to getting a bye on that first day of the tournament, and I know that can be a good or bad thing here in Seattle with us hosting for the next couple of years, but we're going to really be trying to get one of those byes in the future and win the thing. So we have every piece that we need right here. We just got to get the plan together and start executing it.
Anything else, guys? Thanks.
Thanks, Cart.
Thank y'all.